Hello, everyone. My name is Tim Bruner. I'm the product owner for CA OPSMVS. In this session, I am joined by several folks from CA Technologies from the OPSMVS team, and we will do a demo of the OPSMVS WebCenter component as it is with release 12.2. I'm joined by Mike Keel, Mike's product manager for OPSMVS, Glenn McDougall, a senior developer on OPSMVS, and Claude Valente, another senior developer on OPSMVS. Claude Valente will actually do the demo. With that said, please take it away, Claude.
Yeah, hi everybody. We start off with the very familiar OpsView primary menu. There's a new option. If we go to option 4, we can see we have option 14, which is WebCenter control, and what that will lead us to is this administration primary menu for WebCenter. And from here we can, pardon me, we can set up our controls for how WebCenter operates. Now, the first thing we'll be looking at today is the resource monitor under WebCenter, and we can see we have option S, SSM Resource Monitor Administration. Before we go there, I just want to quickly look at our multi-system support. For the purpose of this demonstration, I'm using two LPARs. One is CA11 and the other one is CA31, and I have two OPSWeb regions. Where I am logged into at the moment here is a separate address space which you install with OPS 12.2, and it's called the OPSWeb address space. This one that I'm logged onto here, you can see in the top left-hand corner, is called NMDE9, and I have another one on CA31 called NMDE11, and they're attached to a partner OPSMVS on each of those LPARs. So what I can do here is set up the ability for WebCenter to see both LPARs on the one screen and to control both sets of resources in one screen. And the way I do that is to select option C, which is Connect Region. As I said, the name of the region is NMDE11. I just enter that there and then hit F6 to confirm. And it tells me that we've successfully linked. The progress bar's gone to 100%. It's a very quick process. And if I now go into LC, which is List Connected Regions, we can see we have NMDE11 and NMDE9 now both connected, and I can now view both sets of resources from the one monitor. And if I had other LPARs with other regions, I would just go through that same process again. Okay, so that's just very quickly the multi-system setup. Now we'll go to S for the resource monitor administration. I'll just quickly run through some of these options. User profiles is basically each user that logs in has a profile. Just looking quickly at my own, a profile is made up of 4 separate screens. The user description, things such as my name, location, language, preferences. Primary menu format isn't really applicable for the OPSWeb region. Alert monitor profile and resource monitor profile. Now, we're going to look at the resource monitor, so I'll go in there. And what this is showing is I have a default filter. Now, filters we'll look at in a moment. Filters basically control what you see when you go into the monitor, which set of resources you're going to look at. And then we have various formats, which is the columns that you want to see. So I can predefine when I go into the monitor, I want this filter, which shows me which resources I'm going to see, and I want this format, which controls what they look at. You can also set up default sort criteria, and a lot of these controls are for the 3270 version and really don't have much application on the website because you can just drag and drop columns around, but they do, one feeds into the other. So that's the profile, so each user can customize what their resource monitor experience is like. Commands is an option that is not available on a user system. This is my development region, and so I have this commands option available to me, so I can define the commands that users will eventually use on the monitor. So we won't bother looking at that because it's not a customer feature. And if we look at status monitor filters, and we can see we have some already defined. For example, I'll be using this one as part of the demo, so we'll have a look. Okay, so this is a filter called ThisSys, and basically it's saying the main part of this is the current system is CA11, which is the one that we are on here on NMDE9. So this will filter out any resources that are not for CA11. There are various other classes of resources we're not interested in seeing, so we can also filter those out as well. And to set up a filter, it's F4 to add. You can see we have a new filter. I'll just call this CV filter, and say only resources, because I know in my setup I've got some resources whose name begins with resource. So we can come down here, select the field. The field we want is name, which is number 11, and we can say resource, and generic is yes. So now that's a filter saying we're interested in resources whose name begins with resource. The generic says we want to say resource and anything beyond. And you can see I can also put in parentheses around that and a Boolean joiner, which is and or, so I can build that up to make it more complex. But for the moment, that'll do. Name equals resource, and we'll just keep that filter in mind as we get into the monitor. We can use that. So my 3270 emulator has this ability where it can make certain things that it recognizes into these clickable hotspots. So normally this would just be clear text. I would have to cut and paste it into a browser, but because of this facility on my emulator, I can just click on that URL, which it's turned into a button, and that brings me to the OPSMVS WebCenter login screen. It's the same user ID and password that I log into TSO with, and my browser remembers it. Okay, and what we want to look at first is the resource monitor. Give it a second to set up. Okay, now we remember that I linked NMDE9 and NMDE11 together, and we can see here the top resources here are all system CA11, and then underneath that we have the resources from CA31. Over here we have the filter button, so we can look at the two filters that I spoke about earlier, which was ThisSys. So let's just put in the ThisSys filter, and you can see we're looking now only at resources from CA11, and that other filter that I defined, which was, where is he, CV filter, and so that should cut me down to this resource A, B, C, D, and Z. So we apply that filter, and there we see we only have resources A, B, C, D, and Z. So that's the way filtering works, and as I said, with the user profile, you can have a default filter that will be applied when you first come in. And that default filter for me is this guy down here, OPSSM. So that's bringing us back to that default view that we had when we first came in. Now we can see we've got some resources here with this extended display being red, and it says it's got missing prereqs. So what we can do is on the options button, we can pick extra fields that we want to see in the display, and one that would be obviously useful in this situation is the missing prereq field. So we grab it from the left-hand side and bring it over to the right-hand side, which is what's displayed on the screen, and we can shuffle it up to, say, in front of table name. And we hit OK. And there's that. We can expand that column a bit also. Okay, and you can see now we've just added that column to the monitor, so now we can actually see when the thing says it's got a missing prereq, we can see what that prereq is that's causing it not to be in its desired state. Now, as for issuing commands, we can basically come along, and what I'll do is look over here at one of the CA31 guys, just to show that cross-system capability. So we select him by putting the tick in the box there, come up here, we get a list of available actions that we can do, and what is it? He's up, so what we do is set him to down, hit go, we get a confirmation saying that do we really want to do that? We say OK, we get a thing saying, and as you can see here, command Z has been submitted to domain DE11. That's the domain ID of that NMDE11 region. And we can see that while I'm talking about that, his desired state has, pardon me, changed to down, and he hasn't gone down because his friend up here, Kix AOR, is still up, and we can see that in the missing prereq field. So that's issuing commands. It's as easy as that. And we can, if we want, we can now come along to Kix AOR and do the same thing. Tell him to go away. And now you can see that he's gone into stopping. He should soon go down. And then once he's gone down, we see Kix TOR is also now stopping and will eventually go down. One of the things that we did introduce in 12.2 is more detailed confirmation for commands that action multiple resources. So for example, I've ticked resource A up here, and we can use Q to say start resource and all dependent resources. So that will be A, B, C, and D. If I say go, now you see we get this confirmation screen up, which tells me all the details. It tells me I need to confirm the Q command. It tells me the resource that I've issued it against. And it also tells me that confirming the Q command will start the following 4 resources. And that's A, B, C, and D, and the current state of each of those is stopped. And over here I have the option to OK, to proceed or cancel. So I'll just say OK. And it says Q command has been successfully actioned. And we're back here, and we can see now that the desired state of those 4 resources has been changed to running. And eventually now they are all running. Okay, so that's the starting and stopping of resources, issuing commands through WebCenter. We've looked at adding extra columns. I think that pretty much covers most of it. We can see what I'll do though is for the next step when we want to look at the monitor, the alert monitor rather, I'll just do what I want to do is get a couple of resources not in their desired state. So that'll be one, this can be another. This will play into bits of the demo that come later. Oh, okay, we'll go with this guy. And tell him to shut down as well. I'm not getting the result I wanted there. Okay, let's try it this way. I'll shut down stop resource and all dependent resources. So we'll do that again today. Start from scratch. Shut them all down. All right, we get that same confirmation screen. Command's being actioned. Okay, he's stopping. So now what I'll do is these guys, I'll tell them to start, and hopefully they won't because A is down. Okay, we get the confirmation saying we've issued it to 2 resources. Okay, so now resource B and C are both not in their desired state. And we also have this web server guy over on CA31 not in his desired state. And the reason I want them not in the desired state is just to show that the corresponding alerts that will be raised in the alert monitor telling us about these guys not being in the desired state, and also as part of the mobile display that we'll do after that. Okay, so just jumping back to our, just minimize that in the background. Okay, so that was the resource monitor. We can see we also have alert monitor administration, which is similar again. I won't get into too much detail with trouble ticket interface and data entry. It's fairly involved and boring in a demo. But basically what it allows you to do is to define a trouble ticket interface so that if an alert is raised, it will automatically raise a trouble ticket in either, say, a service desk application or some other third-party or homegrown problem help desk type application. And the defined filters is similar to what we saw before. That same sort of panel where we can build our Boolean expression for filtering alerts this time. And we have various fields, and most of these fields are settable via the AOM, the address alertmon function in Ops. You can set most of these fields through that. So within your own Ops implementation, you can set various Apple IDs, class IDs, and so forth, and then use those to monitor, to filter out alerts and tailor what you see in the alert monitor for, say, operators that have responsibility for different parts of your enterprise, and they are all interested in seeing alerts coming from those parts. So that's where that can come in useful. So once again, just jump back in here, and this time we go to monitoring alerts rather than monitoring resources. And again, we see up here for our regions, it is aware that we have 2 and they are both selected. And this is an old, we've got a couple of old alerts up the top from when the link between the 2 was inactive. So what I can do is select those 2 and just close them because they're no longer of interest to me, so we can get rid of them. And this is why I wanted to get those resources in their incorrect desired state, because we can now see we have Ops resource B and C on CA11 are in a pending state, meaning that they're not in their desired state, and so they're pending a state change. And also from CA31 we have web server, was that 3rd resource also not in his desired state. We can select one of these alerts and look at the details. Oh, helps if I hit go. And that just gives us more, you can see some of those fields such as the class is $RM state change. That's an internally automatically generated alert out of the Ops Web region. So if you only were interested in seeing that, you could set up a filter to say only show me $RM state change. Or if you weren't interested in seeing those but wanted to see other things, you could filter $RM state change out. And also based on resource name, class, type, you could also filter that. We have a description of what this alert is about. It just gives us some recommended action down the bottom. Again, these are just pre-canned, straight out of the box alerts, so they're fairly generic. And we also have the ability for an operator to come in, put a note in, I saw this, it's okay. It's not a big deal. Operator's comfortable, he knows what it's all about, so he can do that. And that'll be annotated to that alert, so the next guy who comes along and wants to look at the details, he'll be able to look in the notes and see, oh, okay, Valclo 2 has said he saw this and it's okay, so I don't need to worry about it. And so he just can let it go. Or he could come along and say, well, why'd you leave it on the screen if you saw it and it's okay, let's get rid of it. And so he can delete it and get rid of it like that as well. Over here on the right-hand side, we have the same sorts of options as we saw in the resource monitor, the filter. So we've got just basic filtering, or pick one of those ones that we saw, one of those filters that we saw earlier. For example, we could say, I mean, this will come up with an empty screen because we have no Sev1 alerts, but no alerts found matching the criteria because I asked to see only Sev1 alerts. We could pick Sev4 only because we've actually got some, and so we'll see them. And again, same thing with which columns we want to see. Same deal. We can pick the column, put it over to the other side, shuffle it up a bit, and hit OK. And now we see that we have that type column appearing. So, and basically that's it. That's the alert monitor. So we've seen the resource monitor. We've seen the alert monitor. The last thing to look at is, I'll just log out of there. The last thing to look at is the mobile display. And the reason I'm logging out is the mobile display doesn't require a login. It's designed to be looked at from a tablet or from your phone or from anywhere where you can run a browser, and it doesn't require credentials because it's a display-only facility. So there's no ability to issue commands or affect the system in any way or change things. It really is just a display, heads up to sort of information. So it's safe to let people in to access it without a user ID and password. We see there's quite a few options here. Now, a lot of these are straight out of SysView. The state mismatch is an ops display, and also the state mismatch summary and summary on all systems. They are from ops, those three. The rest of these are out of SysView. And again, the reason why I wanted to see those, I want to have those resources out of their desired state was that we could see something in these gauges. We also have a history, and so we can see changes in the numbers of resources not in desired state over time. And I think that will keep the last 60 minutes worth of data. And you can see we're looking at CA11 right now. And I could come back out here and pick CA31 and then have a look again. And we're now looking at the figures for CA31. And again, that history is available to us. And we see that that's the total number of resources. These are the ones that are desired up but are down, the ones that are desired down but are up. And down the bottom, we've actually got the all systems. So at the top we have the specific system that we've selected, and down the bottom is across all systems. Okay, so we can go home again. And we may as well stick with CA31 while we're there. These, again, as I said, these are straight out of SysView. And if you've got the SysView product installed, these will be available out of the box. And so this is just, again, similar sort of thing with the fuel gauge type displays. Oh, sorry, we don't want to. Well, there is that auto refresh capability, which will just poll every 30 seconds, 1 minute, 5 minutes. But what I was going for was the history again, where we get that sort of worm-like display for how CPU usage has been going over the last hour or so. We can see that CA31's been quite busy. And we also have the KEC CPU display. Same sort of deal, again for CA31. Again, I could come over and change that to CA11 and look at the same thing and see that it's roughly the same. So good load balancing. Oh, hang on, that was still CA31. Sorry, my bad. CA11. There we go. Okay, so we see CA11 is actually using 42 instead of 48%. And storage dashboard. Again, just how much storage is being used by various parts of the system, spool, CSA, SQA, and so forth. And again, the worm, you can see it's pretty flat. Everything's been fairly constant over time. So not a lot of movement on those. Where were we? Paging dashboard. And again, those same displays, and again with the same history available. And that's just covering paging rates. Now, this is an interesting one. I found this one fairly confronting when I first saw it because it does display things in a slightly different way. Once you get your head around what you're looking at, it does start to make sense. I find lining things up makes it a bit easier. And this is just the top 10 jobs based on current I/O, IOs per second. And so we can see what each of them are. And if that's all too confronting, we can look at it in a traditional table format, which a lot of people probably feel more comfortable with. But this chart, for the graphically inclined, this one does sort of give you an idea of the respective sizes of things and the color coding up in the top right corner to just explain what the various colors mean and the various ranges of IOs per second that we're looking at. Now the state mismatch summary for CA11. So if we've looked at the fuel gauges and seen that we have whatever it was, 14, 15% resources not in their desired state, this one actually tells us which ones they are. And it's sort of a snapshot of the resource monitor, really, just telling us the job names, types, which state they're in, what their desired state is, and modes, and so forth. So that's a way of drilling down and seeing a bit more detail.
Hey Claude, Tim. Hey,
yeah.
So these would, depending on what type of device I'm using to access this, these would resize to fit onto an iPhone or a tablet?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Good.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, the whole thing is designed, as the name implies, as a mobile display. So your iPad, your tablet, even your phone, and the display will resize depending on the device used. Yeah.
Good.
And what we're looking at here is that same mismatch summary, but across all the systems. And so we see there's that web server guy from CA31 that we left in a bad state, and our two friends, resource B and resource C. And so we can get a snapshot of all our systems in the one place to see exactly what is it that's causing us grief. Now, as I said, that display and the other, the system mismatch summary and the state mismatch percentage dashboard are out of Ops, and the rest of these are SysView displays. So you would need to have SysView installed to get these ones. So this is your KICS region summary with everything you ever wanted to know about all your KICS regions. And I'm not even going to attempt to name what everything is, but we do have, and I should have mentioned this earlier, we do have help on each of these displays. So you can actually go through and get a description of what each of these columns is about, what it's showing you, what information is contained. Go back home. And health check, this is plugging into the IBM Health Check facility, and we can see the various products that have issued health checks and which ones have exceptions and which ones have been successful. And again, we have the help to talk about what it is that we're actually looking at. So again, that's just a useful way of getting a snapshot of what's happening on your system. And the system summary. Okay, so they're all our systems, again, out of SysView, all our systems and all that usual SysView information that you're fairly used to, percentage CPU, I/O rates, paging, spool, all of that sort of stuff, IPL dates and times, and that's all available on your mobile device now. And that's pretty much it. So unless there are any questions from our studio audience, I'll hand back to Tim. Are you there, Tim?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, hello, this is Tim.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I do want to show one thing. I want to transfer back here. Let's see if I get to the right screen. Transfer control back to me. And okay. So Claude talked earlier about the alert monitor, and he mentioned that there was an OPSREX address environment to open alerts, and I just want to show you where you find information on that. What we're showing here is the OPSMVS command and function reference for release 12.2. In here, you're going to find a section on the host address commands, host environment address commands. There's a command here called address alert mon, and when you click on that and go to that, it's basically going to give you information that it's a synonym. Let me click back on here. It's a synonym for the address netmaster alert function. This alert monitor originated in the netmaster product. And if you click on that, it will take you to the details of this address environment. So the way that works is the is AlertMon or NetMaster can be used as synonyms, and then you have all these options underneath it here. Address, NetMaster options. So what you want to do is look in the command and function reference. Earlier, Claude, you showed them some alerts that were open in response to changes in System State Manager states. Now, those were done independently of this. That was done automatically by the WebCenter component. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Good, good. So, okay. Any other questions or comments from anyone in the audience there? Okay, if not, I thank you, Claude. Great job on that.
Not a problem.
In the recording here.